Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and if you're looking for something to do in the wintertime, maybe you've got little kids and you just don't know what to do with them right now, you're cooped up, especially in this cold climate, and I was one of those moms. I was always looking for something to do with my children in the wintertime. It's so easy to find things to do in the summer, throw them outside, get busy in the garden, whatever the case, but in the wintertime it's a little more challenging, and we're big bird watchers in the house, and I'm guessing you are too, because one of the videos I recently made here on my YouTube channel was one about how I feed the birds, and that got a huge response. And I love that you've enjoyed it so much. But I thought it would be really fun to follow that up with something that I like to do. I've not done it in a very long time, but if you have little kids and you're looking for something to do with them, make homemade birdseed cookies. It's really simple to do, very few ingredients, most of the things we have at home, and if you do need some of the stuff, very inexpensive too. So first let's start off with what we need to make our birdseed cookies. And of course, birdseed. So I'm going to double this recipe, but this recipe calls for 2 cups of birdseed. So any type of birdseed will do. It'll be totally fine. Then you need a binding agent. So my binding agent is gelatin, unflavored gelatin. You can get this at the grocery store, usually in the baking aisle. You're going to need 1 packet of this. I'm going to double it for this recipe though, because I want to make a lot of birdseed cookies. You're going to need twine. You can use any type of twine. I happen to find this during Christmas time at Home Goods in different colors, but any twine will do, or maybe you have fishing line, whatever you have will work to tie these in the tree. You'll need some sort of a skewer. I use chopsticks all the time for aerating my houseplant soil because it can get kind of compacted, and it's really easy to aerate the soil with this and make pockets so that water drains into your houseplants. But it also works for making holes in your ornaments, so you have a little hole that you can thread your twine through or whatever you're using to make your hanger. You need a measuring cup, measuring spoons, some nonstick cooking spray. I like to use avocado oil, but whatever you have will work. Cookie sheet, so a parchment lined cookie sheet for putting all of your cookie cutters on or whatever you're going to use for your molds. A nice size mixing bowl. You're also going to need some boiling hot water to dissolve that gelatin, but we'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted to turn off the kettle. But if you're a baker and you love to bake like I do, you have a lot of options available to you for the molds that you can use. So for one, cookie cutters. You can use any type of cookie cutters you want. Valentine's Day is coming, so how fun would it be to make some little Valentine's Day cookie cutters? I think that would be a really, really fun thing to do, something nice for the birds. So we've got snowflake cookie cutter, a star, a heart. If you have a bundt pan, you can make a giant birdseed cookie. Or maybe you have a miniature bundt pan, which makes super cute molds as well. And if all you have is a cupcake tin, use that. That works too. So getting started, I'm going to do little cookie cutters. You can make as many as you want. I have 3 little cookie cutters here, and I think I'm going to use my mold here as well, my bundt pan mold. So I've got that, but you can do whatever you want. So getting started, you want to spray whatever molds you're using with your cooking spray so that your birdseed cookies release easily after they've cured in the mold. So I'm just going to give these guys all a quick spray. Make sure it's all in there really well. But you'll be surprised what is attracted to these. You won't so much attract the bottom feeding birds like the little juncos and cardinals and that sort of thing, but you're going to attract woodpeckers and chickadees and all sorts of finches. And once you've got all of that sprayed and ready to go, so getting started, you're simply going to take your gelatin. I'm going to double this recipe, so I am going to do 2 packets of gelatin to my mixing bowl. I should have mentioned a whisk too and some cold water, but to our 2 packets of gelatin, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of cold water. 4. And we're just going to stir that and get it all dissolved in there. And this is the binding agent. This is what's going to hold all of your all the birdseed together in our molds. And then once you've got that incorporated into the gelatin, you're going to add in the boiling water. And for this, we're going to do 2/3 of a cup of boiling water. Okay, that looks good. So it's going to be kind of look kind of gooey, I guess. And now to dissolve it, we're just going to incorporate the hot water. You're going to be careful with that. Just going to take that off the stove and do 2/3 of a cup. Just pouring it in and stirring to dissolve it. And you're just going to stir this for a few minutes until the gelatin is dissolved. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it's all dissolved. It looks a little frothy, but it looks like it's all incorporated. And then to this, we'll add 4 cups of birdseed. Whatever you like will work just fine. So in goes our 4 cups of birdseed. And then you just stir it all together to incorporate it. And I have a mixture of seed in here, and you can pick whatever seed you like. I like that it has a nice amount of black oil sunflower seed, which is the most nutritious of all the seeds. It's got a high oil content, lots of good protein and fat in there for the birds, which is crucial for them at this time of the year, especially as it gets later on in the winter and there's less seed heads available in our gardens. Providing a little extra fat and protein for them really helps them during this time of the year. And now for the fun part, we can start filling our molds. For this next step, if you're going to do cookie cutters, so I've got my mini bundt pan here, but if you're going to do cookie cutters, you want to make sure that you're putting down some parchment paper and just setting up your cookie cutters on that surface, because this is all going to go into the refrigerator for a few hours before we hang them. For the cookie cutters, you're just going to start spooning it into your molds. And this is the fun part. Once you've got it all scooped into your molds, you can get those little fingers in there and start pressing them into place and making those shapes. And now for the fun part, you want to press these into place so they really start to take to the mold. And you want to keep in mind too that if the seed mix that you choose has nuts in it and there's a nut allergy in your family, maybe you don't want to do this project with your kids. It's not worth risking that, but do pay attention to the ingredients that are in your seed mixes, because oftentimes these seed mixes have nuts in them. You could even add, if you have some dried fruit around the house, like dried blueberries, dried cherries, whatever you have, you could even add that to the mix. And I actually just remembered I have some dried blueberries in the cupboard that I could have added to this, but next time. This looks pretty good. The last step is your skewer. So for the mini bunts, these already have a hole in them, so I don't have to poke any holes in it. But for my cookie cutters, I want to put a little hole in there using my skewer so that I've got a way to fish my twine through it. And lastly, at least for now, we just pop these guys in the fridge to set up, and I'm going to leave them in there for a few hours. Don't pay attention to the contents of my fridge. This is real life, and it's kind of a disaster. Aren't they cute? I can't wait to take them out. So these will set up in the fridge for a few hours, and then we'll pop them out, put the twine through them, and we'll hang them out for our birds. So about 24 hours later, maybe a little less, and these only need to set up for a few hours, so you don't have to wait that long, but I'm going to pull them out of the fridge, and they will have set up. Now we just got to pop them out of the molds. So there's the heart. And now we just got to feed our twine through it, but I'm going to pop all these out of the molds first. And I'm going to give it a few minutes just to warm up a little bit, because for molds that have like these narrower sides on them, it needs to warm up just slightly so it makes it a little bit easier to pop it out of the mold. So I'm going to give this one a little more time. So we'll set this aside and we'll do the mini bunts next. How cute is that? All right, so I'm going to get the rest of these guys out of the mold, and then we can go ahead and just fish the twine through it. The secret to getting these out of the molds, though, is definitely the cooking spray. How cute is that? All right, let's see how these guys are doing. Oh, here we go. It just takes a few minutes to let them just warm up ever so slightly. This one's a little more challenging. Oh, there we go. Just be patient with it, no rush. And maybe if you're working with children, little fingers will be easier to get in there and pop these shapes out. Well, there we go. That came out even easier though. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna fish the twine through and we can go outside and hang them up. Well, they're all strong. Let's hang them. All of my birdseed cookies are up, and if you remember from my previous video that I did on how I feed the birds, there is a certain proximity you want to keep in mind when you're hanging your bird treats. You don't want to do them more than 3 feet away from a window. You want to do them pretty close to the window because that just prevents bird strikes. Or you want to locate your seed treats more than 10 feet away from a window. So you want to avoid that distance between 3 and 10 feet from a window because there's a greater chance that birds will hit your window. So I've put these probably about 12 feet away from my family room windows here. Really fun thing to do with the kids when they're home, especially in the wintertime and you're not sure what to do with them. Get them involved with their hands and feed the birds. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.